That is the sound of primary school children playing happily at a free primary school education facility. Happy in the field, but are things rosy in the classroom? In our feature today, we ask the question, are children learning as they should? I am Winnie Onyimbo. In January 2003, the Kenyan government implemented the Free Primary Education Program, also known as FPE. The policy abolished school fees and other levies that were a challenge to children wanting to access education in schools. It resulted in a large jump in enrolment. More than 1.5 million children who were previously out of school joined primary schools. It is almost 15 years later. The question is there progress beyond more children enrolling in primary school? And are children learning as they should? I spoke to Dr. John Mugo, the director of Twaweza, which runs Uwezo, an initiative that aims to improve competencies in literacy and numeracy among children aged 6 to 16 years in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania.
We see a very big disparity between going to school and learning. And from what we have demonstrated using the Uwezo assessment, where we assess what the children can do. Can they be able to do math? Can they be able to read and answer questions that are related to text or comprehension? We see that on average in Kenya, only 30% of children have covered the grade level requirements. So that means that if you go to standard 3 and give them the work of standard 2, 70% of them will not be able to complete that. And that applies to all the other classes, meaning that in every class the curriculum is way ahead of the children, or the children are way behind the curriculum, whichever way we want to understand it. And this should be a big concern, because this is the ultimate measure of quality. We can use the ratios of teachers to pupils, we can use the ratios of classroom to pupils and textbooks and the other things, but the ultimate measure of quality is, can the child be able to do the work that is expected of the grade?
Serious challenges that come with free primary education have caused a drop in literacy among primary school children in Kenya. They include congested classrooms, limited physical facilities, and a shortage of qualified teachers, which negatively impacts on the quality of teaching and learning on one hand and contributes to indiscipline in schools on the other. Marian Devlin has experienced learning in 2 primary schools. She started in a free primary public school, moved to a private primary school, and back to a public primary school. She says there was a big difference in her performance in the 2 types of schools.
I started with a public because of my family financial stability. So when my parents felt that now they are in a good position to take me to a private school, I joined. I went to a private school when I was joining class 4. Actually, the point of me joining a private school was the issue of individual attention. In public school, teachers were very few. We pupils were so many, so the teachers could not attend to each and every pupil, especially the slow learners. So they would go with the fast learners, ignoring the slow learners because they never had that time. The infrastructure there was very poor.
In the public?
In the public. When I joined private, at least the teacher had that time to attend to each and every one of us, at least pay attention to every one of us to ensure we all get the point or what we have been taught well. We had books. At least each and everyone could get access to one. Classrooms were better compared to the public schools. At least they were well built, well structured. Actually, my performance really improved.
So what does it take for a child in the primary school level to learn well so that he or she is within the required literacy and numeracy levels? Dr. Mugo says a big part of learning depends on the attention given in school by the teacher, as well as the involvement of parents at home and at school?
Learning is caused by a multiplicity of things. But where we know that learning is likely to happen faster is when there is a teacher who is committed to teach and has the time to teach, and a child converging together. So the biggest gains we see in schools where teachers are attending, not just arriving at school, but they're actually in class teaching. And we have many contact hours as it is recommended. On average in Kenya, we have evidence to show that around 11% of teachers don't show up at school. And the proportion of those that are at school but not going to class to teach, or those that are in class but are actually not teaching, is even higher. So looking at the amount of time spent on learning, for a public school, it's actually below 60% of what is expected. But children in private schools spend nearly double of the time learning than their counterparts in public schools. So that's the one side of the story. The other, we know that children in poorer households perform significantly poorer than their counterparts from wealthier households, which indicates that there is something that happens at home. And where parents are more educated themselves, where there is a print environment at home, meaning there are books around that children can pick, or where we have people that can assist the child in getting the homework right in the evening, this home environment again makes a difference. So parents creating time to help their children learn, but also parents, even if they're not educated themselves, following up, but also creating time and giving time to children to learn at home may be making a difference. Of course, we have also the overall support that the child requires, holding school governance, so boards of management to account, where is one of the differences we see in that private schools generally have wealthier and more educated parents, and in contrast, they are able to hold the school management to account. I'm paying my money, so what is the value for my money? Those that are left in the public school, unfortunately, are parents who are poorer and less educated. And this has become a problem in trying to hold the boards of management of public schools to account. This is where now the overall reform comes in to address especially inequality. How do we safeguard the learning outcomes for the poor? But also, how do we have a system that monitors learning within a school environment, and having this information available to the community members, to the local leaders, to the parents, so that when they hold a community meeting or a parents meeting, an AGM at the school, they are able to ask the right questions, but also give the schools the support that the school requires to deliver learning.
So, while free primary education appears to be a success statistically, the job isn't finished. To make it truly successful, so that these children are happy in class as they are in the field, government, schools, and parents all have a big role to play to ensure that kids actually learn when they reach school.